going on, guys? It's Nick here, back in the video. It's Friday, time to go my favorite underdog picks this week. As always, these are simply the picks that I am taking this week. Up to you which ones you feel like tailing. We'll start off with the latter of the week, one I feel pretty good about. I'm on Travion Henderson, Isaiah Pacheco, and Courtland Sutton. As always, we get 1.5x if all three hit level 1, 3x if all three hit level 2, and 100x if all three hit level 3. Level 1, 35 rushing yards for Isaiah Pacheco. Doesn't have to get higher than that, just has to hit 35. 25 rushing yards for Travion Henderson, 40 receiving yards for Courtland Sutton. Level 2 is 45, 34, and 59 yards respectively. And level 3, 80 for Pacheco, 70 for Henderson, 110 for Sutton. So why do I like these three? Start off with Pacheco. Highest snap share of the season last 2 weeks, so 62% in week 5, 77% last week. That was really nice, and actually it was great seeing that increase because his 49% or 49 total snaps from last week was the second most of his career. So nice to see him kind of getting to like pre-injury levels and even exceeding most of his pre-injury levels there. This week, KC is at home taking on a Raiders team that is really struggling. I mean, they beat the Titans last week, but everyone beats the Titans, I guess, besides the Cardinals, but everyone beats the Titans, right? They are the dumpster fire of the NFL. There are probably like 5 or 6 teams that are a complete joke. The Raiders are one of them, and they, still kind of destroyed the Titans in that game. Wasn't close. So I don't think it's like, oh, look, they won by 10 last week. No, it was against the Titans. Like, the Raiders are not a good team. They're struggling a lot on offense right now, and that could be made worse. I don't know yet. Like, Bowers isn't going to play this week, but Myers might not either. Check his status report on like Friday, Saturday. If he doesn't play, I like this even more because baseline, even if Myers is out there, they're going to struggle to move the ball against the Chiefs. This is a road game in Arrowhead against a really strong defense, a really good defensive coordinator. Geno has struggled mightily this season. So if they don't have Jacoby Myers and they've got like 2 rookies and Trey Tucker out there with Mayer also at tight end, like that is not a recipe for like 250 passing yards, right? And they're not going to be able to run the ball that well. So even with Genti, so I don't think they're going to score very many points this weekend, even if they have Jacoby Myers out there. Now, on the other side for Kansas City, it's not so much that I think that, this is a great schematic matchup. I don't think the Raiders' run defense is bad. Their defense overall isn't that bad. The problem is their offense has been so bad that Kansas City, even a neutral matchup, is going to put up points, right? They're at home. They got Rashee Rice back. They're rolling on offense. They are going to score touchdowns. They're going to score into the upper 20s, probably into the low 30s this weekend. And the Raiders are just not going to be able to keep up with that. So I think the volume spike here for Pacheco is more so just from a game script perspective. I feel very confident projecting a very positive game script for Kansas City. And, the one thing would be like, okay, maybe the Raiders score like 9 points. Kansas City gets up into the 30s and they ride like Brashard Smith. But he's like never gotten carries this season. He's got 1 total rush attempt over the last 2 weeks, 3% of the team's rush attempts ever since Andy Reid said they want to get him more reps every week. They want to get Brashard Smith more reps in the receiving game. They just don't view him as like an early down grinder. And if it actually got to the point where they're using Brashard Smith in like the second half of the fourth quarter, it is because Kansas City scored so many points, had so many yards. Honestly, Pacheco may have already hit higher on a lot of his projections there. So I really like this spot. I think it's pretty easy for them to get him, 15 plus rush attempts. Should blow past levels 1 and 2 if he hits that. 3 is going to be tough, but he could easily have, 17, 18, 19, and just has to bust off one long play there. Then for Henderson, as I said, the Titans are a joke amongst the terrible teams. They are by far the worst. And everyone just knows when they play them, you can easily lean run heavy. Don't be aggressive on offense. Don't make mistakes because they're going to make mistakes on offense. They're going to struggle to move the ball, play, game control, run it. And this is also a nice revenge spot for Mike Vrabel after getting fired from Tennessee 2 years ago. And so, he's going to want to run the score up. He's not going to say that publicly, right? But he wants to score a lot of points this weekend. The Titans are nearly twice as good of a matchup as the next best run defense. So this is obviously, a better way of saying that is, they're the 32nd best run defense. They're the number 1 matchup for running backs to go against. And they are nearly twice as good of a matchup as the second best team to go up against, right? Like they are just so bad against the run, both from an efficiency standpoint and from the fact that everyone knows you can go run heavy, so everyone chooses to run the ball a ton. This is a very obvious spot for New England to finally get their ground game going. Like they have two talented running backs. This offensive line simply cannot block anyone. So this is a good spot to fix that. It might not be a huge issue right now. You can still win games, potentially make the playoffs. I mean, they're the number one seed in the AFC East. If they keep winning, they have a chance to maybe win the division or at least get a wild card spot, right? So it's not an issue right now. You can't run it. But if that's your goal, is to win the division, is to get into the playoffs, be a wild card team, like if that's your goal, which obviously it is for this team, you will have to run the ball. If you get a lead in the playoffs, it would be nice to be able to have a ground game to go with that. And so they know at some point they got to figure the ground game out. So why not try things out in this spot when everyone goes run heavy, everyone has success, figure it out, right? Try some different things, do well. Just having like a good game, even if you know it's going against a bad team, can just kind of help the chemistry of the offensive line if they're playing well. So I think it's a get right spot for them. Henderson really needs like one block to hit here, but I think he can get it finally this week. We all know he's very explosive. The Titans boost running back rushing yards by 41. So 41 extra yards to the whole backfield, not per running back, obviously, because it's 3 running backs. They're not boosting it by, 120 yards here. But for the backfield, that's only split between 2 running backs here. We're looking at like a 20 rushing yard boost for each of these running backs. And level 1 for Henderson is 25 total rushing yards. So we don't need that many rush attempts. He should probably be able to get there on 5 total rush attempts. And if they're not running the ball with Henderson more than or less than 5 times, like if they are not giving him 5 rush attempts, then what the heck are they doing on offense this week? So he should hit level 1. He'll probably hit level 2. I think he can hit level 3. Honestly, I'm going to be taking some solo ladders on Henderson up to like 100 and a touchdown. Like I'm just going all the way up for a bunch of solo ones because I really think if it's ever going to happen, it is this week for Henderson. Then for Sutton, he was shut down by Sauce Gardner last week, but so is everyone that goes up against him. No team allows an overall target boost more to wide receivers than the New York Giants. And they're one of only 7 teams in the NFL that allow a yards per reception and a catch rate boost to wide receivers. A lot of teams, increase catch rate, but keep the ball close to the line of scrimmage, decreasing yards per reception. Some teams allow deep passes downfield, but at a much lower catch rate. The Giants allow a boost to both. It's not a massive boost, but the fact that you are allowing a boost to both with an increase to total volume makes it a really good spot for wide receivers. Aside from his 2 duds, Sutton has yardage totals of 61, 118, 81, 99. He is the focal point of this passing attack. This is an offense that, really, really struggles when they can't get him going. And I don't think they're going to want back-to-back weeks of not being able to get him going. So I think he's going to play well at home against the Giants this weekend. Level 3 of 110. It's not going to be easy for him, but I really think level 1 of 40 will be. And I think he can push towards, 100 plus yards this weekend. So hopefully we can pull off $10,000 if we hit on all 3. But again, I feel pretty good about all 3 of these guys hitting level 1, which will still 1.5x our buy. So that's the ladder of the week. How about some solo picks I like? One I really like is Woody Marks, higher than 12.5 receiving yards. And I would like doing a ladder on that if you can find one. Underdog didn't have one available when I checked, but if something out there is going to give you like higher than, 15, 20, 25, I do like kind of pushing higher on him. We've got the potential here for the post by rookie bump. So that's possible that he just goes out there and is a clear 1A, and he should go higher just based on that. But also the matchup definitely benefits Marks way more than Nick Chubb. Only the Bucs are limiting rushing volume for running backs more than the Seattle Seahawks. They're a very good pure run defense against running backs. And that difference is probably emphasized at home, right? It's unlikely that the Texans, behind their offensive line and 2 running backs they have, are going to be crushing it on the ground with running backs. If they're going to win this game, they're going to have to be throwing the ball and throwing the ball to running backs. Seattle really does struggle to defend running backs out of the backfield. No team right now is allowing a larger increase to running back receiving yards than the Seattle Seahawks, just edging out Dallas Cowboys. We always target Dallas Cowboys for receiving. For running backs, well, Seattle, slightly better matchup so far. The Texans are also slight underdogs this week, so if they fall behind, there's just no way that Nick Chubb is the guy you want out there. If you're down by a touchdown, you can't run it, you have to be throwing running backs, it makes no sense in the world that he would be out there. It would be Woody Marks. So I think this is a smash pick if the Texans fall behind. But even if they get a lead, it won't be by that much. The Seahawks are a very good team. And it takes one or two receptions for him to go higher than 12.5 receiving yards. So I think Marks is, far and away just their best passing down back. So even if they get ahead, if it's not by, 14, 17 points, they're still going to throw the ball, right? They're not going to run it every play. And even if they got ahead, if they chose to run it every play, they won't be ahead for very long. So I think coming off the bye, this is a great pick. Another one I really like is Jonathan Taylor, higher than 88.5 rushing yards. I know this seems like a lot, but the matchup is actually really good. Only the Dolphins are allowing a higher yards per carry boost to running backs than the Chargers. And the only reason they're not allowing more total rushing yards against them is because they're 4-2, right? They're a very good offense. And so if the Chargers were a bad offense, this would be the number one matchup you're attacking. It's just that teams haven't been able to get off a lot of run plays because you can't just run every play if you're losing. Since Khalil Mack went down, they've allowed 83 rushing yards to Dobbins, 79 to Scadaboo, 111 to JCM, 128 for Achane. It has not been great. Now, there is a chance that Mack returns this weekend. And if he does, I definitely like this one a lot less. But I would also kind of anticipate sites, including Underdog, obviously, lowering the projection from 88.5 down to maybe 82.5, 83, 84.5, something like that. So what I would do is I would hold off. I would understand this one and be okay, we love the matchup. If Mack returns, I would probably only take higher in the projection if it's closer to we'll say 84.5 is probably what it should be. I would still like higher than that. And I do honestly, even if Mack is there, think that he probably gets 100 rushing yards. So I'd probably still take it either way, but hold off. See if the Mack news lowers the projection. If it does, take it. If it doesn't, up to you if you want to do it. Well, it's always up to you, but it's more up to you on this one if you want to do it. But if Khalil Mack is out, if they need one more week to ramp him up and come back, I would expect Jonathan Taylor to go, higher than 100 yards and a touchdown, and I would definitely take higher on 88.5. Another two that I like are both the quarterbacks in this Washington at Dallas game. I like Dak higher than 260.5 passing yards, Jaden Daniels higher than 228.5 passing yards. This is a game in Dallas, divisional game, 54.5 point total. Dallas is the number one matchup for schedule adjusted fantasy points allowed to quarterbacks. Commanders are the sixth best matchup in the same stat. I think Pat Thorman over at ETR summed up, Dallas beautifully in his Pace article this weekend, pointing out that Dallas is number one. And this is crazy given that Lamb has missed a lot of time, obviously, or not a ton of time, but he's missed games this season. You would not think that Dallas is number one in offensive EPA per play. Dallas has been incredible on offense. What makes these matchups great, though, is that they're number one in offensive EPA and they're number 32. They're dead last in defensive EPA, or EPA allowed per play on defense. They've also gained the most total yardage and allowed the most total yardage on defense. So you love when a team like that, just in general, you love going against them. But when a team like that is at home in a dome, which for their entire franchise's history, they've played better at home in the dome, is also going up against a very explosive offense on the other side. I mean, it's a dream, right? Does it guarantee that everyone in this game goes off? Of course not. You could have random interceptions. You could have fumbles. You could have turnovers that are unexpected, that kind of stall drives. The game plays closer and you don't get that shootout. You could have just a couple passes being a few inches too far and it limits things there, right? But what you also have is the potential for Lamb to be back, which he's going to be back this week, for Debo to be a little bit healthier, for McLaurin to potentially return this week. And when you've got that, and these teams have already been playing great, and they've historically played fast, and they've historically done great through the air with two great quarterbacks, and defense is struggling, and both matchups favoring the pass. It's just everything points towards offensive production here. So I like both the quarterbacks. I don't have, unfortunately, a strong lean on if you really want to stack this up and you want like both quarterbacks plus 2 pass catchers. I don't have a strong lead on which ones. I don't hate Zach Ertz on the Washington side. I really wouldn't hate either McLaurin or Debo, but again, I don't have a strong take on which one it would be. If you wanted to do JCM, again, we always target Dallas for receiving yards to running backs. The problem is, I mean, that's not a great correlation, the quarterback with like the receiving yards for JCM, because you're still only projecting probably like 15 to 20. So not an amazing correlation there, but I wouldn't hate it if you wanted to do that. But I don't have like one that I particularly like a lot. And the same thing on the Dallas side. Pickens could easily hit for a 40 or 50-yard play. Lamb could easily keep racking up, 7, 8, 9, 10 receptions. But I don't have a strong take as to which one's going to drop that nuke. So I like passing for both the quarterbacks, but which player you kind of add in there, if you pick one at all, you could easily just say they spread it around, multiple players do well, and all you want to do is take Dak and Daniels. That's probably what I'm going to do because I can't figure out the other piece, but you do you. Final pick over today is Justin Fields, higher than 39.5 rushing yards. No Garrett Wilson leaves him with close to zero talent at wide receiver. And so now more than ever, when he drops back, he's going to be looking to scramble. Normally it's like drop back, find Garrett Wilson, fire the ball in there. Oh, we didn't hit. Time to punt. We'll try it again next time, right? Now it's drop back. Look at Josh Reynolds, maybe Alan Lazard, Smith, maybe Mason Taylor, but like you can only give Mason Taylor so many targets. He does set up the best among all the players on this team for racking up targets. But we saw last week he had like 1 reception. So when Fields drops back, he's going to be trying to hit these guys, but they're not always going to be open. He's not always going to trust them, and so he's going to scramble a lot more. Also, like the Jets are only 1.5 point underdogs here. I don't know. They're still projected to score 20 points. I don't see that happening. I feel like they're going to have a really bad game, but the market is still expecting them to have production here, to score maybe 2, potentially 3 touchdowns, but to score maybe 2 touchdowns this weekend, which means they're going to have to drive the field a few times. Like you remove Garrett Wilson from this passing attack and it's just not there, right? And I know that like Breece Hall, right? You think last year, you could easily rely on the run. Like the Panthers were a very, 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 very bad run defense last year, but they've been trending really positively this season. They've been shutting down some pretty good running backs. They opened the season maybe not that amazing, but the last couple of weeks they've been great against running backs. So I don't even expect Breece Hall to have like that amazing of a game on the ground. It's going to be like dump offs to Hall, dump offs to Taylor, but eventually that's not going to be enough. And so I think Fields is going to scramble. I think there's going to be a few times this week where he has, 10, 11, 12-yard rush attempts. And truly, like if he's going to run the ball 8 or 9 times, it's pretty likely he's going higher than 39.5 rushing yards. So good luck to everyone this weekend. If you want to tail any of these but don't have an Underdog account just yet, sign up using promo code FFA. If you play at least $5 on your first pick, you'll get $100 in bonus funds, win or lose. That's a pretty sweet deal. And if it's not good enough for you, I'll throw in my fantasy rankings and detailed projections for free for the rest of the season. All right, that'll do it for this one. Thank you all for watching. I'll see you all on Monday. Let's go over my Week 8 waiver wire picks.